So this is my 2009 Honda Civic SI. We'll start with the cons. This bumper was definitely repainted at some point. It's missing the trim along the windshield. Apparently this is also a common thing. Windshield was probably replaced and they didn't bother to replace the trim. The door hinges are definitely just flat. So when you just open the door, it auto closes. I mean, honestly, it works because I could open it and it closes slowly enough that I could just like have my door closed for me.
That's luxury right there.
That's what I'm saying. Lomo sunfade right here. God awful window tint. Definitely got to replace all this, and a little bit of sun fade up here as well. That's really it, man. Because the pros, well, this is a, I believe, Raleigh red car, so that's pretty cool. I'm happy to be in a red car again. It's only got 123,000 miles on it. Sounds like a lot, but we gotta shift our perspective because we are in Honda Civic territory, like 15-year-old Honda Civic territory. I was struggling to find a car that had less than 150,000 miles on it. Most of these, I mean, you know, these things can go up from 200 to 300,000 miles strong. They'll hold up. 123K, I'm happy with, but beyond that, the guy who previously owned it, he's a mechanic at a car dealership, so he took great care of it. I just assume most mechanics would because they're constantly fixing other cars. You'd think that they would take care, or at least know how to take care of their own. And he was an older lad too. I went and looked at a couple other of these, and I mean, the majority demographic is kids. And like, I mean, that's kind of what I'm actually encouraging here because I'm recommending that this is a great first car. But, you know, with kids usually comes inexperience or lack of maintenance, and this guy was older. He's actually selling this car so that he could have a kid himself. He's becoming a dad, and so I bought it from a dad. That's all green flags over here all the way around. Next biggest pro, the steering wheel. I don't know if this is replaced. This thing usually doesn't look like this. Usually it's got a ton of wear and tear, and people will just put steering wheel covers on it to kind of protect that, but this thing is just basically in awesome stock condition. It's already got a different head unit in there, so I could use CarPlay or Bluetooth stereo. Most all the stuff works, like the sunroof works, the AC works, all the windows work, the lights work. And my last biggest pro, because there's another element to these that is really rare and really hard to find, which is a stock one. And it basically is stock. It has an exhaust, so it's a little loud, and it does have some brand new Tane coilovers, which is what we were gonna do anyway. This motor is pretty untouched. It's the original K20. I don't believe it's ever been tuned or anything like that. And so that's what I wanted. A lot of people swap K24s, they do other stuff, and when you do that, like, yes, you have the ability to make more power, but you also have very rough motor mounts, and the whole car just shakes, and you're having a seizure as you drive along. There's definitely a lot of opportunity still with this stock K20. You know, you can boost it down the line, and you know, we could tune it up, do a couple things, but I'm just happy that it's stock and the whole car is relatively untouched. Bang. So one flaw that the car came with that I did know about is that if I try and turn on the AC or heating fan, there's definitely a bit of a vibration noise that you shouldn't be hearing over there. It's definitely awful for the passenger to deal with. If I turn it off, yeah, let's go dive in. What we'll need for this is a pry tool, a T20, and then a little 6mm socket. So the blower motor is down here, so we have to take this apart. I got that out of the way. Right here is the blower motor, so we first unplug the clip. Then we have 3 screws that are T20s. Here is our old blower motor, and I guess it's due for replacement. So just took this thing over to my local AutoZone, picked up this puppy right here for about $100, and let's test out if this solves our rattle. I wanted to go OEM, but it seems like a lot of people literally just find these off of Amazon, and some of these aftermarket ones can literally be better than stock. Looks nicer. It's black instead of white. It was pretty easy and simple to reinstall this unit. I was able to do it in the AutoZone parking lot with using only the T20 wrench. Alright, moment of truth. Put it in ignition. Crossing my fingers, let's see. Alright. There's no rattle. I mean, it's still making noise. I guess I should expect that any blower motor still makes noise. Yeah, no, this is way better than it was before. Probably a little bit more powerful too. It's so spoiling fixing all little things in this particular car because I truly mean it when I say that this is the first car I've ever owned that the parts I need from it can be found at AutoZone and I could just go fix it day of. Everything else has been a little bit more niche. So I was just driving down the road. Sun was blaring in my eyes, so I decided to put the sun visor down and up, and then it cracked entirely right here, fully fractured. And whenever I tried to put it back up, it would just want to sag and hang back down. So this is essentially broken, and if I just yank that off, she's toast, which is why we have a brand new one right here. Yeah, this is literally like 20 bucks from Amazon. Not a perfect match in color, but very similar match in design. I just unbolted the remains of the old one, so that's trash. Now we have our two T25 screws, and we will mount them back up into the new one. Boom, new visor, fully installed, no more crack, and now stays up. That's beautiful. The new visor was installed, and with it in place, I got to admit, the color match actually was pretty good. Next thing, this car needs new cabin air filter. I don't know when the last time the old one was changed out. If it's anything like my S2000 was, I imagine it's pretty disgusting. So what we got to do is slide out the entire glove box, and then we could access the cabin air filter. Oh, there we go. Yeah, it's not the best. I be breathing all this. New one in, slide it back in, then we could inch our glove box back in. Boom. Easiest air filter install. Unscrewing this extra long Mishimoto shift knob. It's weighted, it's nice, not bad. This is more my style. This doesn't accentuate the throws and make them feel longer than they actually are, and it just looks a little more fitting inside the car. Now, some attentive viewers might have noticed we have a little bit of an eyesore here. We are missing some trim. I don't know if it's because this windshield was replaced and then the trim somehow got lost in it, but I have a little cheap solution. I have ordered this garage door seal. This is some rubber stripping that's supposed to line on the bottom of your garage door down there. However, it is going to be our windshield trim. I laid out the strip along the windshield to see how much I needed to cut and began shaving down the rubber. The whole strip is a little bit too thick, so I am slicing it 1/2 inch thinner. Once we got the overall length and width covered, we needed to account for the little brackets that were in between that were going to be getting in our way. So I used a white marker to mark out slits on where the brackets are, and I'm going to cut out little slits so that this can sink in further. I used every fiber of memory of all little cutting techniques I learned from elementary school to cut out the best possible weather strip to spec. Here is the perfectly cut trim piece with our slits now slotted out. And finally, to complete the install, all you need to do is tuck in the piece. You don't need any adhesive, or there shouldn't be any bolting or drilling in. It should stay where it needs to be. I even used a little squeegee to help out the process. Just like that, we have brand new front windshield trim that was literally like 20 bucks off of Amazon. DIY. Now I gotta clean up some of this stuff. Now, the last two things we're gonna touch on this car are two very important items that I think you guys should all do right after you buy a used car, and that is spark plugs and an oil change. So, first thing we gotta do to get access to our spark plugs, we gotta remove this windshield trim piece right here. We have our washer fluid sprayer cord still attached, so I'm just gonna tuck this up above. Now we gotta remove this piece. Boom. And now we have access to our valve cover. This is my valve cover piece that I removed. And now we have access to coil packs, to which we'll remove those, and then the spark plugs will lie under. But I don't know if someone just spilled some stuff all over this, or if this is like a purposeful like paint splatter texture I don't know, but I might want to take care of this. I just took a little gander into my coil pack area and I found that we are missing a bolt right down there. It wasn't there. So that's definitely some maintenance that we got to cover. Unplugging each one. This is crazy. This coil pack, yeah, it just comes right out because it's literally, there's nothing holding it in. That's that's unfortunate. I proceeded to unplug, unbolt, and remove each of the coil packs, now allowing for access to the spark plugs. Now, in order to remove your spark plug, you need a special spark plug socket that is magnetized and should have some rubber thingy-majiggy inside that should latch on and help grab the spark plug out. But just search for spark plug socket. For this Honda, we're using a 16 millimeter. That is the size of the spark plugs that are in there. Here are the old spark plugs. I don't know how long these suckers have been in the car for. They look pretty used and abused, but I know that these things can last for up to 100,000 miles, and the car currently has 120. So yeah, who knows? But we are replacing them with some brand new NGK Iridiums. Iridium IX spark plugs. But check out, this is what they're supposed to look like when they're brand new. So you could definitely tell that this is a worth it maintenance thing to do, regardless on your knowledge of the car. You just never know. And so the motor is going to be in a lot better shape once getting these things in. Now, reinstalling your spark plugs, you obviously just got to do the reverse process. However, this socket comes in hand because it will hold your spark plug as it goes down, and you don't want to drop it or just slam it in there and ruin the end right here. If this bends or anything like that, it can malfunction the spark plug. So we got to be very careful. Carefully get her down in there. I don't know what's going on. I'm just screwing righty, hoping that I'm getting this thing installed. Okay, yeah, our socket's going down. So we are, in fact, getting contact. We are locking in the threads, and now we just tighten it. Boom. No more spark plug. She's in there and she is locked tight. The next spark plug, however, had something else in mind. Oh, okay, now the socket wants to detach from the extension. Whew. We got it back out. All the spark plugs are in. Time to reinsert our coil packs. Important update, we have secured extra hardware for that missing bolt in the coil pack. I reinstalled all the hardware needed for the coil packs, including our brand new bolt that we got. So this cowl has basically turned gray, working its way to white, and we're gonna take care of it, get it back to nice black. Don't judge my methods. This is the Honda Civic way. Might as well take care of this thing while we're at it. It was now time to reinstall our valve cover piece. However, we made a little bit of a discovery. Holy crap, I am so dumb. Guys, the reason why we were missing a bolt for that coil pack is that it's attached to this right here. This goes inside that socket, and this was just attached to the plastic cover piece. Dang, I really did a whole hardware store run for no reason. Of course someone wouldn't forget a coil pack bolt. This is pointless. Now it's time for the oil change. I'm gonna bring you guys on a little tour underneath the Civic Si so that we can see what's going on here with this oil change. Right there, that's the drain bolt. It's like a 17. Pretty easy location. Now for the oil filter, however, we're going inside the wheel well, and it is right there. Do you see that? Way tucked back there. Apparently it's a Kia oil filter that was last put on this car, but you can't access that easier from up above. My only option is to basically go in from underneath in the wheel well What a funky spot. I honestly thought this was going to be the easiest thing ever, but I guess a little Civic is going to still put up a fight thanks to the K20 engine placement. We got our oil change started by first draining out all the old oil. After that, I began to attempt to remove the old oil filter, and somehow with sheer strength and my long arms wrapped through the chassis like a jungle gym, I was able to get access to it and unscrew. I think this is the first time I've ever hand loosened an oil filter. It is honestly my only option that I could do with the placement of this. Oil filter is out. What we are going to put in is a K&N HP 1008. I always love the K&Ns because they have the socket at the end. So next time I do this, worst case scenario, I should be able to socket my way out of it. Now, of course, you guys know this wouldn't be a Jack Ultramotive video without a mention of our partners from Pennzoil. They will be providing us the 5W30 Platinum that we will be using, only the best for this Civic. Say this thing takes about 4.6 quarts, although a lot of guys just naturally top it off to 5. Let's fire her up. She's got new spark plugs and fresh oil. Well guys, it is safe to say over the course of the past week, the Civic has received quite the treatment. And just so that I don't forget, those of you that do care to know, this is how our black valve cover piece turned out, with it all spray painted, as well as the windshield trim that's now solid black and isn't gray anymore. So first thing on our agenda, because we will be adding on some spicy wheels later on that will showcase more of these brakes, we gotta do something about these brakes up here. This is the brake setup that comes on the car. Even though it's a higher trim SI, the brake setup doesn't really look that higher trim, higher performance to me. One of the things I noticed when driving this particular car around is that the brake pedal felt a little bit mushy, so it could use at least a better brake fluid flush anyway. So between brake fluid flush, having some shinier calipers in there, and just having a higher performance brake setup over around for the car, we're gonna be upgrading our brakes today. So we have a power stop brake kit, and then we have some shiny red front calipers. So we're only really doing the fronts, and you'll notice that this isn't any fancy 6-piston crazy Brembo BBK of any sort. That's because this car is gonna really serve a daily function, and I feel like obviously for aesthetics, the big Brembo setup would look a lot nicer than these tinier ones. However, it's just a bit excessive. It's a bit unnecessary for what I'm gonna be doing with this car. It's not gonna turn into a full track time attack build of any sort. And this is still gonna be a lot better than what's currently on the car, mainly because of the rotors, also because of your pads, and lastly, because we'll be doing braided lines, which will allow the brake fluid to run through the system a lot better than how it does. We have .3 Honda genuine brake fluid we'll be adding in, and then some new hardware for when we're releasing the rotors themselves. The nice thing about today's install is that in typical Matt Armstrong fashion, I have my dad conveniently here able to help me out and assist with the job. So these cheaper ESRs that came on the car, they are want-to-be center lock wheels. So this is obviously the stuff in, you know, Formula One, big race car, big, but obviously this is just a cap that in here I have a tool that, if I'm thinking about this correctly, oh, do I really need someone? I guess we need someone on the brakes for these. Oh, I got it. So with this off, it exposes your 5-lug. They want to be center locks really hard, but I'm glad they're not, because I don't even have the actual center lock tool. And it probably means that they're a lot cheaper. These are the actual lug nuts that are on here. It's a good thing I seem to have the socket for that too, because those are not that common. But let's get the wheel off. First things first, we got to unbolt this caliper, which I think it might almost hand screw off now since we broke it. Next, we got to loosen the bolt holding in the brake line. Now, I'm gonna take my perfect little prop here. Voila! Easy. We'll be removing all of this at some point, but I guess if we wanted to start out with the rotors, we could do that. Next on the agenda is the thing I'm most worried about, which is this screw right here, which holds in your rotor, but it already looks a little bit stripped out. All that's between us and this screw is a little Phillips insert, so we gotta pray that this holds. Otherwise, we're gonna have a really fun time extracting. Oh, easy. Okay, that's awesome. In the past, this has been a nightmare of a thing to deal with. Oh, look at that. Look at that. For comparison, you see that the new one is, they're similar in size, probably around the same size actually, but it's just drilled and slotted for cooling. And imagine with our pads, it's just gonna contact a lot better. The sizing might actually be really nice because we won't have to worry about the dust shield. I don't think it's hitting the dust shield. We just noticed a little later on that we mismatched our rotors. They are labeled, we can't read. Front passenger side, front driver's side, it says. This is supposed to go on here. Yeah, and this is the proper direction they're supposed to face. Now we are attempting to remove the line itself from the chassis of the vehicle. We have our little bucket down there for the brake fluid when it comes out. And we've learned that to loosen this 10mm bolt, you want to make sure you keep the brackets and everything all hooked up first so that you have the torque and the tension of this remaining where it is. And hopefully we could break this off without stripping it.
Is it dripping yet?
Yeah.
How come it's not making it to the...
Not. Where's it dripping? Oh, it's right there, right there. Yep, there we go. That's all dripping down. This is fully detached. Now we're rebuilding our new brake calipers. Like that?
Yep.
Okay, yeah. And so now we're attaching our line to the caliper. Line. Pads, we are ready to mount. Goes to the front side. There we go. All right, now we just gotta bolt this thing on. We got the line attached right here. Then to attach this all the way up, these screw together. Everything is all tightened down. So our new brake setup is installed. And we got the other side done as well, and so now we just have to bleed the system. So we're gonna use that could be a 10 mil or something. And I think when we loosen that, then fluid's gonna spurt out. And I have my bleeder bottle. I gotta drain this out, but this is our tool that this can mount up right to your rotor too, and then you plug that right on your bleeder area, and then all the old brake fluid can go through here. We're gonna top off the, what do you call this, a master cylinder? So we got my dad in there operating the brake pedals, and so you're gonna give it 3 pumps to go ahead. Yep. And on that last one, you just hold, then I release, all the fluid comes through. We should have more in the bottle now, and then I just gotta tighten it back up while he's still holding. All right, now you're good to release. And we just do this process like 100 gazillion times. Another thing to add is that the order in which you bleed your brakes can be important. It's helpful if you start furthest away from the master cylinder. So in my car's case, we did right rear, right front, and then left front. Now I want to present to you guys our brand new wheel setup for the Civic build. We have some Volk CE28s in Blast Bronze. These are specifically CE28 ends. They are 17x9 plus 22, and then wrapped around them we have some lovely Nitto NT05 tires in 235/40 R17. I know I'm super excited about these. These are definitely the dream wheels for this project. However, I also know that some of you may be thinking, Jack, we already ran Volk CE28s on the previous Honda build, the S2000, and I gotta say, I have a type when it comes to certain cars, certain wheels. However, those wheels on that car were finished in diamond black. This is gonna be a different take. It's gonna be bronze on red. Bronze on red, I think, always can work really well, and this finish is really cool because in the sunlight, it just glistens, but then if you kind of bring it over into the shade, they're really dark actually. So it's a really unique, a satin matte type finish, and of course you gotta love how they etch in all of their stampings, their logos, everything into these. Now I am aware this is the point into the build where things start to get a little bit controversial, where people start to have different opinions, because the current wheels that came on this car, I found this car, it had this set of ESRs on there. I know there's some of you guys out there that really like these. I mean, they are kind of color coordinated with their wannabe center cap in red. They have a nice little polished lip, so it's a nice little hot boy look. And I'll admit, if the car was staying in the exact current state that it is onward, I think these wheels would do the job just fine, and they are a lot more affordable than those right there. However, that's just simply not the case. We're gonna be taking this car aesthetically to different lengths, and the wheels that I got, I believe, are just gonna complement that a lot more. They're gonna fulfill the dream look that I have for this car. And then subjectivity aside, these are a lot more light. They are way stronger than those wheels ever could be for if I'm gonna hit bumps or curbs or anything like that. I mean, these are track grade performance wheels. And they're also what you would call real wheels in the community of real versus rep, based on the brand quality capabilities of them. And I'm aware that this build and this project is a first car. I'm trying to educate or showcase to you guys a lot of recommendations, and I'm aware that on a first car budget, especially a budget of this specific Civic Si, where you could possibly be buying the car itself for as low as $6,000, that a set of wheels that are close to $3,500 to $4,000 is just simply not really realistic. However, it is something that I truly believe in that if you had the patience and you had the ability to give yourself time to save up and to allow your first car to roll on a set of wheels that are of this high quality, that are real, that are cultured, that are cool like this, I think it's entirely worth it. You get the performance out of them, you get the functionality out of them, and you also get the respect out of them when you show up to shows and places or show it up around your friends. It's an extra layer deep into the iceberg of personalization to showcase to people, hey, I'm a real diehard car guy because I really do value the functionality, I value the history, I value the heritage of buying into a brand like this and having these on my car, even if my car is some cheap little Civic. For me, when I'm out spotting cars at shows and events, I can freak out and get more excited if I see a car and it just happens to be on a really specific set of cool wheels. Even if the car itself is something basic, something casual, wheels can entirely make a car. And so I've always gone off of how excited it makes me when I see stuff like that, and it's made me want to put those wheels on my cars in hopes of maybe there's some other people out there that'll appreciate it in the same way. It's why I got some nice ad bands on the Skyline, and it's why I went as far as to put TE37s in bronze on my F-150 of all things. So now, with my lecture out of the way on all the various reasons on why it's worth it to have the patience to save up and put wheels like these on whatever car you have, let's just slap them on and see how they look. The difference in weight between the two sets of wheels became real obvious when taking them on and off. As a matter of fact, these CE28s were probably some of the lightest wheels I had ever had, particularly because of the sizing of them too. Usually I'm working with wheel sizes that are much larger, which will end up being a bit heavier, but these boys were light as a feather. First impressions, oh, this is a million times better in my book. This thing looks way more aggressive, way more sinister, and it just looks like it's ready to hit the track. Now we're gonna have to do a little bit of something about this wheel gap right here. The car already had some tang coilovers, so I'm immediately gonna reduce some of our threads on the collars and bring it down maybe a half inch, almost maybe an inch, and then same for a little bit of the rear. This is an aggressive setup, kind of like the S2000, where we have a little bit sticking out just because we're trying to fit the most aggressive offset C28 in there as possible, because I hate flat, weak offset wheels. Luckily, the car already has some camber aftermarket rear suspension components that gives us some negative rear camber. And then in the front, Right in there is the top of the Tane coilovers, and there is still some room to push that in further, giving us some more negative front camber so that we could safely lower the front down a little bit more without hopefully not crunching a fender. I mean, enjoy these fenders how they are now. They won't be on the car long term, so I guess if I crunch one of them, I mean, there'll be different fenders on this car at some point, but I didn't do a good job of taking care of my S2000 fenders because I was running such aggressive wheels. So I'm gonna try to do more of that on this car, but you know me, I want perfect fitment. I want to get rid of this wheel gap. I first loosened these screws at the top of the coilover and pushed the coilover in, giving us maximum front camber. Then I broke the bottom collar off the coilover shock, allowing it to spin and adjust our height. I gave myself about an inch to lower the car on all sides around. And once done, it was now time to take in our glorious creation. So here we are, Volk Racing C28N's Blast Bronze. We went down to 17s, previous wheels were 18s, and I love it. I hope you guys love it. This is very much me now. It's so refreshing to have at least my hint of personalization now on the car, not looking like it's embodying someone else's car. So we got the new wheel set up on the Civic, we lowered it down, and I got it fully all aligned, but we still have a slight, almost major issue, and that is a lot of rubbing in the rear. And I mean, these California highways, they should be able to do a great job at demonstrating that. Oh, there's one. Oh. I mean, with little rub noises when I'm just in this car solo, yeah, having 4 people ride in here would cause absolute chaos to the rear fenders. So we need to do something about it. I know the best guy in the country to handle this type of problem is right here in Orange County. We're gonna get it taken care of today. Always fun cars out on the road. M2 Comp, and then your boy Justin, our boy Andres. Yeah, it's rubbing pretty bad. You could see I've already been freaking cooking them up. Do a lot of people like show up to your place with like the fenders already looking like that, with like rubber all over it?
A lot of people, so they just come with shreds. I'm like, you should have done this first.
That's so funny.
But at least it's not too bad. Like I've seen like when it's like really bad where wire's showing, that's when I'm like, hey, you need to go buy a new tire after.
Yeah, a whole chunk of their tire is gone. So this guy right here, Mr. Sexy S2K, you are the surgeon of car fenders and rolling them, making sure they're
all the room.
They're nice. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you specialize in S2000s, would you say, right?
S2000s.
Yeah.
But I do every single car. Yeah, in general, people just want more aggressive fitment. Like with these lips being so thick, I actually used to have one of these.
Oh, really?
The fenders being so thick, you can't really fit really meaty setups.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah. Yeah, because like it like folds in too. It's like a taco back there.
You don't want to roll these because when you roll them, it just shows like a warp on the outside. I did it on my previous 8th gen, and I ended up redoing it and just cutting everything, and I'm like, oh, it gave you all the room you needed.
Yeah. Yeah, there we go. That's like half the length of what it was at least. Mm-hmm. And also just like still thick enough too that like it's not too like
it's still strong.
Like yeah, it's strong enough, exactly. Luckily we're working with the rears, so it's not like the tire's ever gonna freaking move or anything.
Just go right.
Yeah, yeah. It's just gotta barely just tuck itself in. You can see how smooth that is. That's why we go to this man right here, because I could not angle grind that to be as smooth as such. You'd have all these jagged edges and then you just burst your tire. That would not be good. Look at him go. We got fenders now cut, should be rubbing less, but we have to put it to the test. And so what we're gonna do is, my two fellows here, we got one person, another person, me, 3 people, and conveniently, we've made it out to Angeles Crest Highway. And so we'll put 3 deep, see how it rubs. It'll definitely rub a little bit in the front, because I'm not worrying about that. I'm gonna do different front fenders down the line anyway, but we'll see. with the biker suit on too, for maybe a little bit of extra leather weight. Yeah. All right, let's hop in. Already this is better, because in the past with 2 people, it was literally rubbing just on hard acceleration as the car like squatted a little bit.
Did you hear anything while you were coming out?
No, only a little bit in the front, which like right now,
Oh yeah.
That was a little bit out of the rear.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, it's mainly out of the front though.
Dude, I would be scared to make like sharp turns. A little bit on the left. Oh, you can smell it.
You can smell a little bit. We are 3 deep doing literal Angeles Crest turns right now. Trying to stay in the VTEC range. It corners really well. Dude, we're like, okay, we're rubbing a little bit, but it's mainly in the front. It's not as much coming from back there as I expected. And I've also never even had a person in the back ever. So I think honestly, like this car, this is where it's gonna rub the worst, when you're doing like this sharp of a corner, just absolutely like hucking it. Like you got the maximum body roll all into one side.
Oh, I heard.
Yeah, I heard a little bit there. I'm pinned. Let's go.
All right, Andres, you did a good job. You didn't weigh the car down.
Let's assess the damage.
I got you something.
Oh, a little more rubber. Oh, okay, yeah, we got a little bit back there. Not as much on this side. Yeah, that side's definitely worse for whatever reason. But hey, you could still see what kind of tire it is. Shout out the Nitto NT05. We haven't fully rubbed off our letterings, you know? If that's when it's gonna rub, which is literally, this is like the maximum amount of force you're pushing on that side, and we had 3 people in it, it's definitely not rubbing when I'm just in it, and it's definitely not gonna rub when I'm just in it, or 2 people, or even 3 people are in it, and I'm just like highway cruising or anything like that.
Yeah, when you were going straight, I didn't hear anything in the back.
Exactly.
It was just like really hard corners.
Exactly. So we solved that issue, and a little bit up here, but actually it's funny how this made more noise, but there's actually like no tire wear. There's no rubber coming out of here, so it must just be like slightly hitting like some of the fender liner or something. Yes, that is my broken Honda Civic being towed by my truck. This all started when we heard a suspicious whining sound coming from the front of the car. It's definitely coming from like right up in here. I then let my friend Dustin take the car out to go on a little food run one night, and within only 2 minutes of him leaving, I got a call with him freaking out, saying that it sounded like something snapped, the car completely shut off, and it wouldn't turn back on. Luckily, he was just right outside my neighborhood, and I rushed out as quick as possible to troubleshoot what had happened. The belt didn't even spin. With the belt not spinning as I was attempting to start the car, this clearly meant something within that system was seized up, and our first guess was the alternator. The whining sounds that we had heard earlier sounded very similar to whining alternators that I'd seen on YouTube videos, and if your alternator is seized, it would definitely prevent the car from starting. So since the car was right outside the neighborhood, it wasn't worth loading it up onto anything to bring it back, so I simply got my truck, strapped it up, and pulled my car home safe and sound. Man, I never thought that out of all my cars, the Civic would be the sitting duck that's currently undrivable, but we have quite a problem. This alternator right here is toast, and luckily it is pretty easy to take out.
I'm gonna have to remove this cowl first, dive in there, obviously take off the belt. Gonna attempt to do this myself, get this car back running again.
I started out by removing the plastic radiator cover. It was held in by a ton of clips that were probably not reusable.
When doing something like an alternator, remember to disconnect your battery. We're gonna use a 10 mil here and get it fully disconnected before diving in there. Excuse my lack of clothes, but it is simply 100 degrees in here and I am just sweating balls.
To remove the belt off the alternator, I got the correct size wrench, attached a breaker bar to it for extra leverage, and pulled back along the tensioner pulley to release the tension, unhook the belt, and then it was time to clear the way for the alternator to come out. In order to do so, I had to unbolt and remove the top support bar, as well as remove one of the cooling fans, and then I finally had enough room for removal.
Brand new alternator for Civic Si.
Putting the new alternator back in was an easy task. Just simply had to plug it back up, bolt it back on. Everything else was already cleared out and just had to reattach it all.
Alright, everything has been put back together. New alternator is in there, installed. Triple checked the belt, made sure all the teeth are aligned to where they need to be, and now just charging up the battery. It is time for the moment of truth. See how she fires up.
It appeared to me that the battery was simply too dead. Since dealing with a dead alternator, it only made sense that the battery had run too low on juice to crank over, so I needed to give it some time to charge back up.
It's now dark outside. I've let the battery charge for several hours, so hopefully it has enough juice now to crank over. What does that mean? That's like what it was doing last time.
This was frustrating, because after replacing an entire new alternator, we were still dealing with the same starting issue as the night before. The only next step to take was to once again loosen the belt and check everything else out in that system.
So basically what we've been noticing that's happening is that the crank pulley down there is the only one spinning, but the belt wasn't spinning and nothing else is spinning. We thought it was a C's alternator, but we found a different pulley that actually doesn't move. This is the idler pulley up top. It doesn't move. Now, logically, if you are able to troubleshoot that only your crank pulley is spinning and nothing else is spinning and everything else is seized, we should have checked all of the other pulleys first, because I guarantee, well, I know actually that the old alternator did spin when I took it out. I just thought that like maybe, I thought maybe, yes, it could spin, but like maybe it was still bad or something. But no, I think this confirms that this is the culprit. This isn't spinning, and technically didn't need to do a whole alternator install, but it's fine because, you know, it'll have a whole new life.
The way it happened, like it just locked up while I was driving randomly.
Yeah, I don't get that. Oh, yep.
That didn't even seem like it was that tight.
Well, I have a breaker bar.
Okay.
Oh god. Oh my gosh.
What?
Wait, is this supposed to be like this? Hang on.
Shredded?
Yeah, it might have like sheared itself. Whoa!
What the hell?
What the hell is even that?
Wait, no, hold on. Take this little shield off. You can see all the balls in it. Yeah, dude, look. Wow.
Whoa! How can that just randomly happen?
Yeah, it definitely can. All the balls are like shredded in it. They're all misplaced.
We found the problem! The bad news is that I wasted like $200 and my time on installing an entire new alternator for no reason. The good news is that the actual problem now is something that is very easy to go and fix, because this can't cost that much and it is literally right up top. Just picked up my new idler pulley from O'Reilly's. Was only $40. I can't believe this whole ordeal can really come down to only needing to spend 40 bucks. Literally take out this brand new pulley and then it should slide on right up top. Thankfully, literally the easiest pulley to access. Take the bolt and tighten it on. This was definitely the problem, because now this freely spins, but in the past it didn't spin at all. So yeah, it was definitely seized up. Got the belt all tied around there. All the teeth are lined up. Triple checked everything. Time for attempt number 2. See if this thing starts up properly.
class, my Civic was once again back up and running, and just a little nice lesson learned on always check out the simple things first before you do the bigger tasks. So back here in this bay in my garage, this is what many months of work looks like between sourcing and spending money and buying and traveling and shipping and all this stuff. This is basically a full Type R right here for that generation. We're not going to get to all of this in this video. We're just going to focus on the front end. So I'm going to start by bringing what we need for today's subject matter over there. Now there's a fairly large amount of parts involved in this entire conversion, and everything that you see here is just the front only, and that is why this specific video took so long to get to. So we've laid everything out. Now it is nice on this platform that you have the privilege to go the cheap route or the expensive route. With some cars you're only forced to go the expensive rare parts route. We have kind of accidentally gone the expensive route just because based on when I was searching for parts, and obviously I was trying to collect things as fast as I could, I just ended up finding the authentic stuff a lot easier than, of course, there are rep and fake and cheaper parts that you can in fact do a full Type R conversion the cheap and fake way. But we ended up finding real Type R fenders, real Type R hood, real Type R bumper, real Type R headlights. These are authentic grille pieces, OEM headlight brackets. This is an OEM, but this is arguably even more expensive. But this is a Mugen front grille piece, and then you have to get giant ass Honda emblem. I don't even want to know how much this cost me just for this emblem. I believe this is the only part that is probably not authentic Type R, and it's just a lower front lip. As you can see, obviously the whole thing will end up being painted later on, so I wasn't caring about what color and stuff I was finding things in. Funny enough, all the OEM pieces are black, so could have actually been all maybe 1-2 tone color if I got exactly all the same stuff. But yeah, there's a lot to it. This is just the front end. You would think that it'd really just stop at maybe the bumper or the fenders, but even the hood is slightly different than the hood that's on there now, and so you really have to collect a good jumble of stuff to get this all done the right and proper way. With all said, we might as well get to it. I mean, how hard can it be? It's just unbolting and bolting on, right?
So he says.
The first item we started with removing was the hood as well as some plastic trim pieces on top. Hood and plastic trim is off. The next thing that's in my face is this grille piece, so we'll start with that and then probably work our way into the bumper and headlights. Is it attached to the bumper? It is.
I was right.
Alright, let's see how else this bumper is attached.
Push tab even doing anything?
Oh, yo! These actually function. I thought these were just like decorative or that they didn't work, but we have a quick release front bumper. That's so clutch. Man, I'm gonna miss these on this car. Should add quick release to the Type R bumper. After removing the rest of the plastic clips connecting the front bumper to the under tray, it then slid right off. Oh. Holy. Bro, I wish every car was this easy. That was genuinely a piece of cake.
It looks so sad now.
It's only gonna get sadder. Bumper off. Up next, fenders, or as the English people call it, wings. Front fenders had hardware aligned through the engine bay on the sides where you had to open the doors, and a couple underneath by the side skirt area. You'd also have to remove the windshield wiper cowl and the front headlight to access all hardware so that front fender would fully come off. So here is the look of a very sad Civic Si that doesn't know it's getting a facial transplant upgrade in a few seconds. We've officially removed everything.
It just looks like a part out right now.
Dude, literally, looks like this thing got in a collision. I'm thinking that we start with the fenders because those were the last things that we removed, and that could, I guess, give us the best visual on where to go. So the cool thing about the Type R fenders is that they are metal as well. We don't have some cheap fiberglass, and hopefully they'll fit up pretty well, but fairly lighter. I mean, they're similar. They're both metal, but honestly, it's definitely slightly lighter than the regular SI fender is, which is cool. And then they're slightly wider. So I'm also curious how they're gonna fit over our wheel setup, which obviously is already pretty aggressive, but we should actually have more clearance with the wider end. Another misconception that you can get for a conversion is, I believe, CSX, which are Honda Civics from Canada, or just non-Type R Honda Civics with this front end with the headlights and everything. And those fenders, CSX fenders, are going to be skinnier than authentic Type R fenders.
Dude, this shit's gonna bolt up easy, bro.
Dude, the holes literally go right to where they need to. That's magical.
Easy.
And the fitment over here is already like flawless. In a world where Jack has dealt with a lot of fiberglass and fake parts, this is kind of spoiling because the holes mount up exactly where they need to go. The fitment already, this is literally first mock-up. The gap right there is pretty perfect. And then, yeah, I'll have a side marker to add into that, but...
It's not even bolted on.
I know, it's not bolted on at all. That's so spoiling. That's awesome. I guess this is a lesson on why it pays to buy authentic good stuff. I proceeded to mount up our FD2 Type R fenders, which conveniently use the same hardware mounting points as our USDM Civic SI fenders, and they bolted up with no issue. So we got the fenders both mounted on, and they're very flush and they're very well fitted. Now we're gonna get into the actual tricky stuff. But so far, this actually seems straightforward. This right here is the JDM headlight bracket, and there were 2 bolts on our USDM headlights, and they should go right into where we need the JDM ones to, because there's a place for it to bolt into the chassis right here, and then it bolts onto the side right there. Oh, long lord.
The camera gun.
We're professionals here. It's honestly very easy to mount up the bracket when the headlights aren't on. I don't know if the headlights should be on the bracket first. We're about to find out. Dude, I haven't done an install with this little fitment issues in forever. Welcome to Jack Ultramotive's Headlight Workshop. Today, I'm gonna show you how to convert your USDM headlights to FD2. So we have authentic FD2 headlight right here. And this is what I ordered off of eBay. Some guy sells these little kits. It'll save you wiring work if you're like me and you hate doing that. If you like doing that, you can probably save yourself $100. They also come with these, which I have yet to find the use for, because basically we take this, we plug it right into our running light, which is in here, and then we take our high beam from the old headlight, and then you slot that in the high beam slot. You take your turn signal from the other light, you plop that way in here. Here's our combobulator. This goes in here. This one should attach right here. And then this one attaches to our little harness that we got. And voila! Now we should have running light, high beam, and turn signal. Right? Yeah. Boom. I wasn't sure how painful this is all gonna be, but it honestly plug and plays just fine. You just gotta order, you just need this. That's what's important. So now, we have to actually mount this up, which, yeah, I honestly wanna say that the bracket probably should go on the headlight. So as you might have guessed, yes, the headlight was meant to go on before the bracket. So I simply removed the bracket out, installed the headlight first, then added the bracket underneath the headlight, which completely locked it in place, secured everything up, and we were good to go. This is another bracket that you need. It honestly looks 3D printed, but this is OEM Honda, and so this will go right on the side with your other headlight bracket. These are the 2 crucial things you cannot forget. So make sure this goes actually before you secure your headlight bracket. Aha! Oh yeah, and then the headlight bracket secures both those. Dude, it's one fancy puzzle. You got it? Oh yeah, he's threading. I'm amazed at the quality of all this. So I'm guessing that the bumper, yeah, this will help us secure in the bumper.
Oh, so they're little clicking tabs, like
Yeah.
you see them on the top.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
This is the most fun I've ever had installing cosmetic parts because of all the...
Blowing up Legos.
Yeah, literally, because of the quality. I get to see how it fits out while already having the meaty C28 setup on there. Already looks so good. Both headlights have been officially installed and tested, that they both work. Now, some people that are familiar with this kind of stuff may realize that because I have authentic JDM headlights, I may or may not be blinding people on the road. And that is sort of true, just because these headlights headlights are oriented to be for driving on the other side of the road, which they do in Japan, and obviously now putting them on my USDM car driving here in the States, they're going to be directionally facing slightly the wrong way. They're not the brightest thing in the world. I honestly believe that like Audi laser headlights and current era headlights are a lot more blinding, especially if you're in a big truck. My Raptor probably blinds more people than this innocent little Civic with Japanese headlights will. So I'm just gonna live with it. It's honestly the reason why the guy was selling these headlights to me, is that he was specifically looking for Canadian ones so that they didn't blind people, but I wanted the real JDM Type R stuff. Next thing to do is the front bumper. I'm not gonna bother assembling in the grill pieces down there because it will get painted and they'll have to get taken out anyways, but I will try and add on the Mugen grill on top and then our lower lip and get it all together. So here we are at the home stretch, and as you guys can tell, we were running low on daylight. I moved the car into the garage to finalize adding on our front Type R bumper as well as installing our Type R OEM hood. We just about finished the front end and the boys arrived to come check it out.
Just show up. Finish.
Just in time. Yeah, we're literally trying to align the hood right now.
Hey.
Yep. She got a transplant.
You got that boob job.
A little thicker thighs in the front, slightly wider, but like, yeah, exactly. That's pretty good. Will it latch?
Yeah, we need to come like this way. Like we can slide this down just a touch, yeah.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Yeah, so it needs to go like that slightly.
Yeah.
It is very, you see
It's
that?
too low over here.
You see how low it's mounted?
If any of you watching this has ever dealt with adding on a different hood to your car, you'll know that it's a bit of a finicky process. It is a constant back and forth game of readjusting the hardware on either side to make sure that the hood lines are even with each other. So once that process was over with, we had our front end complete. So here we have it, my SI with its brand new Type R face, and obviously we're still missing a couple little details such as little lights that pop into the fender right there, and then the lower grille pieces. I'm purposely leaving these out because obviously this is all going to have to get painted at some point, and those would have to come out anyway for that. I just can't believe how easy this all placed together on the front of the car and how well it all fits. The lines are pretty solid, and this is what you get when you're working with OEM metal parts. Fiberglass usually doesn't like to cooperate like that, as well as carbon fiber. We do have a few areas we can perfect, like the line like there, and obviously this entire piece down here, and I'm gonna worry about that a little later on once we get into the painting details. So here is the collection of all of the parts from the rear, and the funny thing about this is that all of this came from one car. I was able to source all this out off of Marketplace, and someone else's converted Type R Civic Si unfortunately got in a front end collision, and so all of his front end parts were unusable, and then he wanted to part out the car and had all of these rear end parts, which is perfect for someone like me trotting along. So as you'll notice, they're all in this same beautiful gray, bronzy, gold color. We'll start out with the taillights. The taillights that he happened to have are ones that I actually prefer. There are two different variants. There are circular ones, and then these are like the octagonal housed JDM lights, and I don't know, these are a nice touch. Obviously wasn't really my choice, but I'm happy that I lucked out with these. Here is the Type R rear bumper, and then it happens to come with a carbon diffuser, which is a bonus. And then we have the trunk. It was a carbon trunk, and so he left some of it exposed, and I'll have to decide, I'll have to see how it looks mocked up on the car, if when I get my car painted, if I'll leave this exposed as well. And then we have a Mugen wing, which there's also a lot of different types of ways you could go about the wings on this car, but this is the classic Type R fashion, and I love that it's kind of multi-piece segmented, and it'll give the car a nice like STI look when it's all done. This is just trunk trim, more trim pieces, and then some wiring, which I have a feeling is going to be the trickiest part of this whole job, because everything else should just bolt right on and be pretty simple, but wiring the US taillights to the JDM taillights and making sure it all works and stuff, we'll have to get that squared off. Without further ado, let's get into it. Step one is we're going to remove the rear bumper, and there's a bunch of screws lined up along right here, but there's one important screw at the top of there, And because I have such meaty wheel and tire fitment, normally you probably could get away sticking a screwdriver up with the car sitting on the ground, but we're gonna just try and jack up the rear so that we could have a little more clearance, because we're gonna do whatever we can to make sure we don't have to remove the rear wheels for this one screw. That's maximum drop. Suspension's not exactly loose. Just take a wrench with the screwdriver attachment. This is a lot thinner. Well, I have access to it. With those corner screws removed, we simply took out the rest of the clips holding on the bumper from underneath, and it slid right out. Bumper is officially off, and now this gives us access to the taillights, which we'll attempt to remove next. There's a bracket underneath them, and there's a Phillips that appears to be holding them on through the bracket. We're gonna find out if we're gonna reuse this bracket or not. You just gotta unplug everything from your taillight, and then you just have 4 8mm nuts. Once you break them off, they should just be hand loose, and we could pop this sucker out.
So we figured out that the brackets, there's these little plastic dowels that come from the taillight into the bottom bracket here. So we have to take these off. I was just telling Jack that it's kind of annoying, because if you just wanted to take the taillights off and you weren't doing a whole rear end conversion like us, you'd have to take off the entire bumper just to take off the
just to remove your taillights.
And that's frustrating.
Yeah.
But at least you know they're never gonna go anywhere.
So bracket is down and taillight
Voila.
is out.
Just like that, that's all it took.
Exactly. We got the taillights removed. Now obviously there are multiple pieces of taillights. We'll worry about the trunk stuff later. But if we were to mount up the JDM taillight right onto this side, there should be an issue straight away. Imagine there's just not. That'd be so weird. Yeah, there's definitely like an entire hole missing or something. But basically, this is another tricky part about this conversion, is that we're gonna have to do some actual cutting. The cutting is another additional hole right down here, and then I think some of this part off, and I think some of the edges out a little bit more. That's just based on what I've seen online. To figure out where we need our hole, using some tire marker whiteout. I mean, any white paint would work, but this is what I used to just white out some tire letters on another car. And then basically mock up, because there's other holes that this wants to go inside too. So this side's all aligned and everything, but obviously it is getting stuck over here. And so we just kind of paint where the stud needs to go. And then if we bring it back out, voila, we have our marking. So, I mean, it's a little sloppy, but I suspect it's like right there. We'll just make a fairly large hole, and it should be able to go through. Oh, easy.
We did it.
We did it.
We should check and make sure.
Here are my markings of where I'm gonna be trimming. We're gonna trim the bits up here, in this corner, over there, and then trim this entire section out. You could already see some of our attempted holes at getting our additional stud area down there. We got this chunk out. We'll sand that later. Now that I had our corner taillight fully mocked up and proven that it'll fit, it was time to move on to the trunk. We took out the 4 bolts holding on the trunk to the hinge and brought over our brand new VIS carbon trunk and bolted that onto the hinges using those same 4 bolts. We are taking from our old trunk, we are reusing the latch mechanism. Even though this carbon trunk I bought came with one, it doesn't directly plug in, and so in order to get this functioning plugged in, we're just going to reuse the old one. Someone's going to buy my old trunk and have a field day realizing that the latch plug-in is not going to mount up to their US car. So now it's just getting all of our lights in order. These will just mount up into the trunk, and then we already did all the work for the outside lights. As far as the wiring goes, it seems to be plug and play, except for the reverse lights, because the reverse lights on the old setup are implemented on these taillights, but then on the new setup, the reverse lights
are on these ones, which go onto the trunk. And what might seem like a small difference actually is a huge difference, because now instead of having wiring for reverse lights in here, they have to route themselves all the way around up and into the trunk. And so that's what Zach is gonna get a start on over here. We have the extra wiring that we need, and we'll probably just route it along one side, probably that side over there along the hinge. It's just basically assembling all of our lights back in order and then pop on the bumper.
So as Zach sat down and locked in on extending our reverse light wiring to go up into our trunk, I meanwhile worked on actually bolting on the rest of our taillights to the car. I fitted and aligned each of the corner taillights, along with using our bracket that we showcased from earlier before, slotting in those taillights into that bracket and bolting it all in together to ensure that nothing was going anywhere. Aside from the reverse lights, which of course needed to be cut, spliced, and extended, everything else was pretty plug and play.
We should have everything all installed in and hooked up. From the original reverse light wiring down here, we have our extended wiring that basically works its way from there all the way up through into the trunk, and then makes it onto one of the reverse lights there, and then the other reverse light over there. So we have these mounted. Time to test them out. Okay, so those are just the lights on. Turn signal.
Perfect. Perfect.
Brake.
Yep.
And then last but not least, the most important one.
Oh yeah.
Hey, let's go.
We're in business.
Funny quirk I noticed about my bumper. It was once red. You could see some of the spray that they didn't get, but they should have never painted this bumper, man. Could have gone straight on the car without any respray.
Now when it comes to adding on a different fiberglass bumper to your car, you know that these things usually don't like to clip in without putting on a fight. In order to ensure that this thing was bolted on properly, I unfortunately had to remove something that I didn't want to remove prior.
So did have to cave, unfortunately, taking the wheels off to mount the rear bumper. I just wanted to make sure this thing was all bolted on properly, and forgot to mention there are also side skirts. Didn't really know whether to include that in the front end conversion or the rear end conversion, because obviously they're just right on the side, and so we're adding them on the end to the end of this video. And might as well, while the wheel is off, be able to mount them up from inside the fender area.
Working together, Zach and I were quickly able to bolt on either side of the side skirt, getting it mounted onto the car. With this final piece added on, and after 2 days of work, it was finally time to get a full view of our fully FD2 Type R converted Honda Civic Si.
First time closing the trunk, taking a look at our brand new rear.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, we added another color to the bunch. Now the car is like 1, 2, 3, I think at least 4 colors at the current moment. Oh, it looks so sick. I don't know how to explain it, but these taillights, they just look so much more angry than the US ones. And yeah, we got our diffuser. The entire bumper with the diffuser sticks out way more than the last one did. So my little dinky exhaust tip is basically hidden down in here. It's also not fully aligned. We might have to mess with the exhaust later on. But for now, yeah, we have a nice bigger wing. We have meaner taillights. Oh yeah, this is also cool too. Before we go anywhere, I can't forget, I gotta put my license plate back on. But yeah, and then over here, this rear bumper is more aggressive. It swoops down a lot further. So to balance that out, you gotta do the Type R side skirts as well, which, I mean, if you couldn't tell by the fact that they're the same color as the rear end, they also came from the same car. The whole car cosmetically is basically done. It looks terrible right now, not only because of several colors, but also because it's nighttime, so time frickin' next day. This is our intake, but this car has an issue when it comes to adding an intake to it. I'll show you guys 2 options when it comes to the world of induction. There is the easy option, which is a short ram intake, which all you have to add is a little bloop
right there, and the filter and everything would sit right in that area. Now, if you guys could process the issue with that, obviously you have your whole motor and your headers are right back there. This would be all taking in hot air, and that's not what you want, especially if you're trying to improve things and power and efficiency with your car. So that's why the other common method, or the better method of adding an aftermarket intake, is something like this, which will essentially route the intake all the way down under, and it'll sit like somewhere right in there, because yeah, there is empty space and everything, and then this will all be cool air channeling through. However, it's gonna require some relocation, because right now our battery is in the way of anything routing itself down into that space. So I believe this Skunk 2 intake should include a battery relocation kit. Might have to do some cutting, some little work. The intake will give us better noises and better efficiency, but in order to actually see if we'll notice a speed difference with what we're doing and a power difference, I got the Honda Flash Pro. This is like your Honda equivalent to your like Cobb access port or whatever. It's just, you know, a little OBD2 plug-in, and then you just have a laptop and stuff, and, you know, do the beep bopes. Hopefully, you know, add in a slightly more efficient, better tune, but also you can alter where your VTEC hits, and in this car I feel like it hits too late, up in like 6,000 or so, so bumping it down to like 4.5 or whatever could also affect our speed and performance. So together, this is our power starter pack.
I know it doesn't seem like much, just a basic intake and tune, but hey, this car is bone stock as it sits currently, so it could use anything they could get.
I've actually had these parts for like over like 5 months. I got them like shortly after I got the car, and I've procrastinated it for so long because I just don't want to do this whole relocation effort and spend however long it may take just to do an intake on this thing, which is why I have flown Logan down.
Imported Canadian.
Yeah, I imported my Honda expert, and if anyone watched any of the Japan vlogs, you'll know this is the Honda guy. Not so much in Civics, but in Fits and in Integras.
I actually currently own a Civic.
Oh, no way. I didn't even know that. That's how many Hondas he's cycling through. I just don't even know.
I've had like 6 or 7 Civics.
God dang it. Did you even mean to do that one? Okay.
I don't even know.
Battery has already been ejected. And so now we're basically removing parts of the body of the car. No. Oh, perfect. Wait, is that like a overflow thing?
Yeah.
Oh.
Coolant overflow. These guys just thread them back in here.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Look at all that unnecessary.
Big old sucker.
That's so much weight too. Yeah, we're for sure gonna have to do your hose.
So
that's next step.
Coolant flush.
Take off this plate first.
Dog, we don't even need to do a coolant flush. We just take the hose off and have a big tray underneath, and then you don't have to, if you don't dump it all, then you have to fill it all back up again. This might blow up. We were driving this thing not long ago.
Will in the back.
Suspense.
We're good.
Oh. Anticlimactic as hell.
Does it smell green?
It smells green.
Can't do that.
I can do this entire install without getting my white shirt dirty.
Oh yeah, that's
There we go.
Oh jeez.
It's hot.
Her water burst.
You can't even see it, but it's cool. It's under there.
Sure, it's clean.
Now that we had our coolant hoses off and draining, Logan mocked up the new coolant hose from Skunk 2, and once confirming that fit, we went back to removing stuff out of the way.
So next up, we gotta remove the ECU and the ECU mounting bracket.
That is one K20 Z3 ECU. Sorry, K20 Z3 ECU. Yeah, then we gotta pull the bracket out, which is just...
Oh, is it way back there? What?
Why is it so complicated, man? It's still a Honda.
Bracket has been removed.
I was gonna throw up and I was like, maybe I should keep it in decent shape.
So that should be like everything out of the way now. I think now it's just
something like that.
Just putting it all back in and back together.
Now thankfully Skunk 2 provides relocation brackets for where everything is supposed to go, and now it was just up to us to see if we could figure out how to bolt on these things.
I think this goes like this somehow. No, it's this way. No,
It's the other way. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So the battery's just gonna tuck in further in there.
Yeah, basically. I think we're just kind of pushing everything this way, right? Because right here is where your airbox was.
Yeah.
There's no room over here, but now that your airbox isn't there anymore, there's so much more room over here.
Yeah.
So if you just push everything this, I mean, it makes sense.
Now,
we got to install this new battery relocation tray. So that is roughly how the battery tray should look.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's one bolt down under there, another bolt down under there, and then we're gonna have to drill a hole for that top one right there. The 2 bolts that go underneath, I didn't have, so I luckily had spare
Replacements.
hardware. Yeah, and look at that, these are all like zinc coated and stuff too.
Yeah, much nicer. All right, Jack's drilling into his car.
I learned really quick that when you don't have the right drill bits for the job, you'd end up utilizing a lot more muscle and time than you would have expected. So you guys, I learned this old trick from an old friend, Logan, like 3 minutes ago. That if you dip it in lubricant, it helps keep the bit sharp and preserves it. Oh, great sound!
Sounds like me after Taco Bell.
It's so close.
That John's smoking.
Damn.
Nice.
Boom. This battery ain't going nowhere. Dude, this thing is solid. Yeah.
That ain't going nowhere.
Ain't going nowhere. Now Logan was able to fully mock up our new Skunk 2 intake, putting all the couplers together and seeing how everything would all fit. And with this done, we did discover that something important was missing. So right here on the instructions, it shows a MAF sensor coupler that we do not have for whatever reason. When I got this thing, there weren't like boxes to check off if I wanted that option or not. So it just default gave me the one that doesn't have the MAF sensor coupler and just has a basic one. That's gonna be a problem because we're gonna have a check engine. Car's probably gonna go into limp mode. So I'm gonna have to order separately a MAF sensor coupler, and then we're gonna have to really actually continue on from there. Will it fit now?
Oh. Oh, brother.
Oh gosh. Oh. Wait, something moved, or some hose or something. This is gonna like barely work. Like,
I really don't like this.
Yeah. The fitment is pretty brutal.
That literally is no room to move at all.
We drill a hole, we do all this work to relocate the battery just for it to still barely fit. Why'd they give us so much extra pipe, man?
They gave us plenty of extra hosing, but they didn't give us the spot where we can plug in our mass airflow sensor.
They did not, in fact, do that. So we got the battery barely wedged in here. The connector is barely wedged in between the intake and the battery. The cover for the ECU is barely wedged in between the intake and the ECU itself. Everything barely fits into this crevice. Like, I expected a little more room considering the amount of relocation brackets that they gave us, that you would think it would relocate it a little more. I mean, what's gonna go there? There's like, dude, I gotta have a whole party in that little area. We discovered we were actually missing another piece to the puzzle. There is a hose piece that's supposed to go from that little fitting over to this larger fitting, and we don't have it. They just gave us this really long black one, which would be too big to fit over that smaller fitting. So what are we doing? Well, we're combining a small hose that I already had and then the excess of the bigger hose that they gave us, making our own adapter.
It's mint, bro. This is fun to engineering right here. Right?
Exactly. But it's not pressurized or anything, so I mean this should be fine.
It's not even necessary, really.
Yeah.
It's mint, bro. Trust me.
Custom hose.
All my hose be custom.
So we got our brand new filter.
Race car parts.
Now I'm very curious how you're gonna actually get this mounted.
Well, you see, Jack, luckily you don't have all of your aero parts.
I understand that, but even with that said, I don't know if you'd be able to fit that through the bumper.
Well,
the bumper might have to come off.
You're gonna watch and learn, Jack. You're gonna watch and learn, alright?
Alright. This dude's about to perform a magic trick. No way.
Magic trick, what did I say?
Oh my gosh. He gonna install the filter without taking the bumper off. Now you gotta get deep on in there. So everything has been temporarily tightened down. While we're still gonna have to eventually obviously get that MAF coupler, but for now we're gonna make sure we add our coolant back to the system because we kind of lost some of that.
Since we didn't actually drain the coolant, we just took the hose out and let it kind of spill into the catch tray. This is gonna be super quick. And then what you wanna do is just put on max heat. We're gonna go till it's like actually like fully warmed up.
Okay. Okay, the check engine is to be expected. VSA is a little weird.
It's probably that your car's in limp mode.
Yeah.
Right? System doesn't know the engine's super confused right now because it doesn't have a MAF sensor. So yeah, that would all turn on with limp mode, I'd assume.
Yeah.
I don't
Cross
know.
fingers.
Yeah, I don't know.
Welcome back to another day. And so, this has now delivered. This is my mass airflow sensor coupler. This is a Skunk 2 product that they decided was not going to be included with my intake that I got. So I'm removing the mass airflow sensor from the original box, and then we're just going to reinstall it into this. Mounts like that as such. And then we just got to screw it back on. The MAF sensor coupler had just simply replaced the plain coupler that Skunk 2 had given us. We didn't really record us actually swapping in this coupler for the one that we needed, just because it required like 3 guys. Is it here?
Yeah.
I gotta fish this thing out.
It's tucked.
Oh, there she is. Alright. Ding!
Wait, what the hell is this?
That's the topinator.
The what?
Topinator.
It's the topinator.
Like, genuinely, what is this though?
It's just, it doesn't get reused.
Okay.
This is coolant right through here.
They look like
but this
fuel
part
lines
doesn't.
almost.
It's coolant. This coolant is go through here, but yeah, this is just hanging out.
Start that thing.
Kaboom!
She healthy.
Wow.
Dude, no, it's right down here where the... Dude, you hear it all right down here at the corner.
You can feel it in your chest. VTech is gonna sound crazy.
Oh.
Oh, that's sick.
Dude, it's literally like the S2000.
I know, it's crazy.
It's just with an intake it's But dude, this is giving me flashbacks to the S2000 because we did intake mod on the S2000. It was game changing. We literally didn't do an exhaust and my car is literally like twice as loud as it was. And I asked Logan, I was like, it's gonna be like that, and he was like, nothing is as wild as the S2000 VTEC crossover. But honestly, it's like about the same as I remember it. If anything, the only reason why it's not as like maybe as loud is because we have a roof, and this 2000 you don't. But like it literally makes like it's the same opening of sound. I feel like there's not many cars where an intake mod is this effective, because yeah, you get the little breathe sounds like when you're first stepping on it, then you just hear more noise murmuring from the front, and then when VTEC hits, it's like a whole different world. So you get like 3 takeaways, and if anything, the 4th, which is what we still have to do, is now we gotta tune it, and so we can see if we can make the car a little bit faster.
Now welcome to my office where we shall be tuning the Civic Si with none other than the Hondata Flash Pro. This is a little tuning device, costs you around like $700, and you also load up the Flash Pro Manager onto your laptop. Device is connected to the side right there. With these together we can load a simple preset tune that comes with the Hondata stuff. I know what people are thinking, hey, it's always better to get a custom tune, a dyno tune, data logging tune, whatever, but we're gonna start out with what they have preset us for the car and run that for a little while, and then later down the line we get a custom tune, or if we later boost the Civic, we definitely need a custom tune for that. But in the meantime, I'll show you guys how it only takes a few minutes to load on some extra power to your Civic. So we'll go over to new calibration, and we've added our model and then the specific vehicle. I have an 09, obviously US model SI, so that's added on there. And then here is a ton of preset options. So like at the bottom, you have race header, high flow cat, stock catback, skunk 2 header, a ton of different options that are already preset in here. That's super helpful. If your car is completely bone stock but you just want a little tune up, you could hit this one right here, completely stock tuned. But in our case, we are going to go with the InGen CAI, which is cold air intake. Now obviously we did a skunk 2 cold air intake. They don't have skunk 2 on here, but this is basically the same thing. So we'll be using this and loading this tune up. So now we have the calibration, and we could see our VTEC window RPM. This shows the lower at 4200, the upper at 5800. Hopefully this should allow for more even spread of the VTEC. In rev limits, we could also adjust launch control through here. Now in the car, I've connected it to the OBD2 port, and then we have my laptop right here, and I'm going to basically try and upload this. Now it should be uploading to the ECU. And this is a really cool detail. The needle moves up as it is uploading right now. So you can see my needle slowly creeping forward. All right, it should just be done. And it is. The Flash Pro uploaded succeeded. So we should have our new calibration loaded onto the car. Now before we go for a rip to see if this car is noticeably quicker, there is one last mod I wanted to do to improve our speed, but it doesn't have to do with adding power. It is this right here. This is the stock shifter, and of course when you are pinned and you are chirping your tires, the fact that it extends this far out could be milliseconds that you are adding on to yourselves, but if you have a shorter throw, that can reduce some time in between gears and obviously improve some straight line speed. So that is exactly what we're going to do. We are going to open this out and give ourselves a short shifter kit. Check this out. We got ourselves hybrid racing. I literally should have done this so long ago. Yo! And we got a new hybrid racing boot, which this is crucial because let me show you guys what happens every single time I put this car into reverse. All right, ready? Watch this, watch this. Boom, look at this. This comes up. It's because this boot is like so rigid. I mean, this thing's like hard as a rock, but it literally lifts up the trim because the boot isn't flexible enough. So that's going to be nice to have different boot. Take a look at the hybrid racing short shifter, and all I'll say is that there's a reason why most 8th gen owners don't put the boot on after installing this shifter, because the build quality is so detailed, so perfect that they want to display what this beautiful mechanism looks like. I mean, I'll install it, I'll think on for myself what I want to do. So I began my teardown process. I started with unscrewing the shift knob, pulling out the shift boot, and also taking out some of the interior trim. Now that we got most of the center coverings off, the next step is to get this entire center console piece out of here, and it's going to start with some Phillips screws right down in there. Time to eject the center console. Now we are left with a beautiful rat's nest of exposed wiring. Now in order to release the cables themselves, which here is one of them, and here's another down there, they're held in by these pins, so we're gonna have to take off these pins. That will let us release them. So I have the pin released. Now cable just slides off like that. So now we got to remove the cables themselves, and so with prying with a flathead, I'm able to just pry them outside of the area. Now we will use a 12mm
and unbolt this whole thing. And now, haha, whole thing is out of there. Now we gotta mount up this fancy John to our cables.
I slid the cables through the brand new Hybrid Racing short shifter and popped them on the sides where they needed to go, and then proceeded to bolt everything all back up. Also, not forgetting about the pins.
Now I take my rod here that came with the Hybrid Racing shifter, and then I just slide it through, and I can adjust what height feels comfortable for my shifter to be at via this little bolt right there. So the thing is fully bolted on and installed now with my nice rod, and so it's time to reassemble all of the plastic bits which I've kind of dispersed everywhere around the car. Let's get this all back together. And just like that, our interior is put back together. So check this out. I don't know if you remember, but our coverings before were silver, but because my little handbrake piece is in a carbon fiber, I decided to get carbon fiber center trim to match that. And then I've decided that I am going to rock with the boot, even though this is really cool, really fancy to show off. With it exposed, it just still looks like something is missing, something's broken, the interior is not fully complete. But with the boot there, the interior looks back to OEM specs. And I know I said the short shifter was the last mod we'd be doing in this video, but wait, there's more. There is one last one, if you could even call it a mod. It is the shift knob itself. Here is a Mugen shift knob that I have picked up from A-Pit when I was out in Tokyo just a few months ago. So if we do a little unboxing here, we'll be able to have a fancy JDM piece added on to the Civic. Here's a comparison of our two shift knobs. The previous one is a little bit bigger, but it is metal, whereas this new Mugen one has leather wrapped around it, which is going to do a lot better in the summertime and not allow me to burn my hands when touching it. Now this, in theory, should just spin itself down. And there you have it, folks. All complete. We got some new carbon fiber to freshen it up. Our new boot, which is no longer pulling up the trim. I could put it into reverse as many times as I want, and this trim is staying put. And the brand new Mugen shifter, adding a nice bit of spicy red onto the interior. We'll match the exterior because that's staying red, but without further ado, let's go take this thing for a spin. And we have a lot of improvements to check out now. So new shifter, but let's see a full throttle pull with our new tune. Oh, whoa. Instantly we're in VTEC. Oh, that is sick. Oh my god, that's so strange. It's almost like we simultaneously did an exhaust mod on this car, because obviously now that VTEC hits so much earlier on, you're just going to be in VTEC while driving it that much more. And when you're in VTEC, the car is just screaming. Obviously your motor is bigger in ways, your cam lobes are bigger, so there's more going in, and so everything has a louder rumble to it. But if we put our attention back to the hybrid short shifter, oh my gosh, that is so satisfying, so notchy. And then just boop, right down. You only know it until you try it, how much a short shifter kit can change the driving experience, because loosey, old, sluggish shifters, I mean, they make your car feel super cheap, because, I mean, a lot of cheap cars usually have those. It's the fancy manual cars that have the nice notchy short throws, and now that this car has that, I mean, it literally feels like this thing just went up 10 grand in value, at least from its driving experience alone. And then, of course, when I'm gonna be doing pulls in a straight line, that'll diminish our shifting times. Oh my gosh. Yeah, this thing hauls a lot faster now. Oh boy, alright, now we're going a little too quick. Here's what I noticed from the tune. You don't really notice that much power directly bumped up from it. I mean, there's frankly just only so much that it can bring out when the car is still NA. But what is noticeable is that VTEC being at a lower RPM. It's actually so clutch that we simultaneously did the intake, because of course the intake allows for so much more open VTEC noise, and then now with the tune with more VTEC, you're simply just driving around a louder, crazier sounding Honda that of course has a lot more torque. I've brought it here to Scottsdale Collision Center, to which they have multiple locations in the Phoenix area, but they are tackling the job of getting this thing finally
all to one matching color, which, you know, if anyone is curious, I haven't exactly kept it a secret, but I'm basically just matching everything to the red. I personally went out of my way to find a red Civic Si for a reason, just because I think the Mugen Type R whole look in its final form will look really good in that juicy hot red. I've purposely not been running like any of the grill pieces, any of the vents, or any of like the side markers on stuff, because I knew I was gonna send it in here and they're basically gonna have to undo the entire conversion that we took our time to do, because they're gonna take all the parts off, get them sprayed down, kind of blend them into the rally red that's currently on the car. But in the end, I think this is gonna be sick. So they're gonna turn this thing around in only a few days. I'm really stoked to see it happen. So getting right into it, the first stage was disassembly and prep. And little did I know how much prep my brand new parts would still need.
So you said these were all like rock chips?
Yeah, it was rock chips, bro.
That's crazy, because it's like a brand new bumper, but it was because obviously I like ran it for like a few months just driving around. But yeah.
The sealer should cover them pretty much all. I did the biggest ones, you know what I mean? So it's a red color. Red really hides a lot of things, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Black would show everything. But the sealer and the paint, the sealer, paint, and then the clear coat should be enough to where like covers almost anything. Now, on your typical bumper, like for Camaros, anything that's lowered, you know how it's like everything gets hit.
Yeah.
Those will sand them down all the way to the plastic, and then do probably two, 3 coats of primer.
Okay.
That way, it looks.
Yeah.
It's satisfying.
Yeah, I know. I'm not worried about how it's gonna turn out. I know it's gonna turn out good. I'm just surprised like how quickly a brand new bumper can like collect little things that you already have to patch up.
Oh yeah, definitely, bro.
Oh wow.
So that's your color, and then what they'll do is they'll go out on the car. So there's a spray that they have. So right now it looks matte, right?
Yeah.
So they'll spray it, it'll mimic clear. So it'll make it look like with clear on it.
Yeah, and you could get a real good idea.
Yeah. And then you can match it to the car. I don't know if the car. So then it'll
I see.
mimic the finished product.
Yeah.
So then he'll go put it next to the car to make sure that color matches the rest of it.
Yeah.
So he is gonna we're gonna clear your front doors, and then we're gonna buff the back ones to bring the shine out of them, so you don't get a brand new door in the front and then it's slightly faded in the back. So they'll buff the back doors to kind of bring that life back to those doors.
The guys wanted to remove as much as they could and make everything as smooth as they could, and that included little stickers that came on the car from factory. One of the things that I was on the fence about is that do we keep the VTEC sticker on the rear door, which obviously signifies that it's an SI, and deciding to get rid of it. I ain't gonna up badge this car to a Type R, because obviously it's not a real Type R and I don't believe in up badging, but I mean, the stickers don't really make any sense, and especially if it's getting painted, it's kind of hard to leave them there.
It's got that original factory adhesive on there.
Probably the roughest part that they had the prep was the Type R lip that came on the car. I had picked this thing up used with it already coming from a prior FD2 converted Civic, so you could say that this thing had some acne that was as bad as a typical teenager's face. Soon enough, the car was fully prepped and ready for a quick wash. Of course, with it missing the trunk and hood pieces, they placed some plastic over it to protect it from water. Using the sprayer and using soap to wet sand it down, this guaranteed that there wouldn't be any tiny little dust particles joining along for the paint ride.
It's crazy the different caliber of cars here. They're doing my old Civic, but they're also pulling out a brand new G-Wagon. She is going in the booth, and she is smooth as a baby's bottom.
With the car rolling into the booth, it was time to seal up all the parts that they didn't want to overspray in red and place out everything that would be getting painted.
I know there are like temperatures that are like, obviously it's like too cold and then too hot to paint in. So like what's probably like the most optimal temperature?
The best temperature, I would say like around 75 to 80 degrees.
How do you guys like combat like trying to paint cars throughout the summer here?
So when you're mixing the paint, they ask you for reducer, and there's different types of reducers. There's like slow, medium, fast, and there's also like an extra slow. And depending on the temperature you're painting in, you choose the type of reducer you're using. So the paint doesn't dry that fast.
Oh, that helps, yeah. So you
Yeah.
can kind of prepare in advance.
Sealer is also like a important thing, part of painting,
Yeah.
especially like new parts. We always want a sealer, so it could like cover all the imperfections or like scratches or like burn marks like that on the metal.
Yeah.
Depending on how you lay the sealer, that's how your paint's gonna look like at the end. The flatter you lay the sealer, the flatter is gonna look at the end.
With everything ready to go, it was time to start spraying. He first applied the sealer on all the parts that were off of the car, and then continued to spray that gray sealer on the edges of the car where it would be blended to those gray parts. That way there wouldn't be such a stark difference in color when it came to those transition points. Then he gave the car a full coat of blending additive. This was more for the texture and to guarantee that the paint dots blended themselves well into the car. He made sure to cover every square inch. But with that out of the way, it was time to start making everything one color. I will say it's got to be one of the most satisfying experiences to see the individual parts go from their primer sealer original starting points to the beautiful rally red. After the first coat was done with, he turned out the lights and went over them again to guarantee that there weren't any imperfections. Then while those pieces dried off, he moved on to filling in the car, and this is where I was getting rid of all of those splotchy sun-faded patches. Then it was time for another coat on our parts, another coat back on the car, another inspection for imperfections, and then last but not least, the clear coat for that wet, drippy look. With how much that goes into this, you guys can see why I decided to send the car in for the last segment of this build. There are so many intricacies and layers to painting a car that I didn't even realize, and that doesn't even account for knowing how to use all the resources and the tools available. And on top of all of that, these guys were basically able to knock out painting this thing in just one Saturday morning. Primered out?
Yeah, bro, primer them real quick, bro.
It looks super smooth.
Yeah.
Seeing the level of detail that these guys are going to with sanding down, smoothing out all the parts and how perfect the paint is going to be, it's going to make me want to like PPF this whole Civic. I mean, naturally anyone should PPF a car when it gets fully repainted, but at the end of the day, this is just a cheap Civic that, you know, I plan to just daily drive around, use a lot all the time, and usually cars of that price bracket, you don't go in and, you know, spend 10 grand to fully paint protect, but it's going to make me want to.
At this point, it was obvious to me that my car and the parts were in far good hands, so I let them have at it, and I made my next visit when everything was finished. We are back at the collision center, and I just got word that the car is fully done. They're just finalizing some detail work right now on it. I saw like a tiny sneak peek video, but you know, it being like Instagram compressed footage, it was very pixelated. So this is really gonna be my first time seeing it in full clarity.
Excited?
I'm so excited. How you doing?
Pretty good. Well,
Yeah.
the car's actually over there, bro.
Oh shoot! Oh shoot! I see it. It's getting detailed over. Should I look at it over there, or should I wait? Like how you just finalize the detail stuff?
Yeah, actually, just wait here. We'll bring it over here.
Okay.
I got it.
He's got me. I love that. Dude, I never thought I'd be this excited for a Honda Civic before. Anyone else who's a Civic enthusiast gets it. But at the same time, there's been like a decent amount of work that has gone into this car. I mean, I bought it just about a year ago, and then ever since I bought it, I've been just trying to collect and source out all of these JDM parts, and it's taken me a lot. It's taken me trips to LA. It's taken me finding, you know, little warehouses here in Arizona. Most of my go-to painters and shops I'd go to had a lot of limited space, so I was actually forced to just kind of drive the car around in its multicolored unpainted state for like months as well. And it wasn't until I found these guys that they were able to get me in, and so now it's just going to be super satisfying that, you know, after all of that wait, after all that patience, I'm now going to get to see the final thing. These guys are a little impatient. They want to show me the car before they bring it out.
It looks nice.
I can see a little bit.
I don't know if you could tell in the video, but man.
Yeah, I mean, we literally agreed that it was just going to be like, they were just going to paint the parts and blend it to the body.
Wow.
Oh my God. But they went above and beyond, and they painted the whole thing, and they've now like fully polished, cut, buffed it out, and detailed it. Wow.
So like this is the that I like to do because I grew up around cars.
Yeah.
But like you gotta have like a crazy clientele to be able to do these all the time.
Yeah.
Obviously this is a good way to make money, but like this is what I like doing. It's like actually taking a car and changing parts to it and like doing subtle changes to make it different, but at the same time, you're not like going too crazy where it looks like Pimp My Ride.
Oh yeah, no,
popcorn
exactly.
coming out of your exhaust. But like, yeah, so we took everything apart. So the wing came completely apart. So instead of painting it on the car, like everything came apart, and as you can see, the paint lines are immaculate. I really wish we took the windows and everything else out, but that would have been that would have been going pretty deep.
Yeah, I mean, just the line like right here between like sealing out the paint versus the carbon and keeping the carbon there looks so good.
And then like, I don't know if they told you about the accents on it. So this came out fucking perfect.
Yeah, oh my
the way you wanted it. So,
yeah.
We took the pictures that you had and I gave them to the paint crew, so Shorty and Ricky, and they took the whole thing apart. And again, the paint lines on it, you would think it's two pieces.
Yeah.
Right?
Literally.
And a lot of times when you get paint lines like that, you'll get bleed through, so you'll get shots where the one color will bleed through the other.
How do they line it up so seamlessly?
I can't tell you, man. That's a secret, man. That's why we need people to come to us. You know what I mean?
Secret formula right
Yeah, no, like they genuinely they really take a lot of care into what we do here.
Yeah.
Because we really want, when we give somebody their car, we want them to have a good reaction about the work that we've done. Not just like, oh yeah, it looks good.
Yeah.
But like find the little touches that you're like, oh, that looks really good. Wow, that looks really good. The only thing that we couldn't fit was the little accents that you brought.
Yeah.
Because those are fiberglass.
Oh, okay.
And we can mold them, right? So, I mean, we can get them to fit. If you ever bring them back, we would have to like remold them to be able to fit the bumper right. You don't have a good fitment.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It doesn't. And then look, sometimes we can finagle it to where like.
Yeah, but
look at this.
It honestly, looking at it from up here, it honestly just looks worse. Like even if it fit perfectly, like I'm not really a fan of it now seeing it in person.
If you want to get some carbon fiber ones, and what we'll do is we'll paint them, and we'll leave like a little bit of exposed carbon on it to kind of match the rest of the car that already has that.
Yeah.
And it will look really sick.
No, honestly, I like the look without. Like actually seeing it mocked up, like with it on, like I think it actually kind of like is almost too busy. So I actually really like the look without. It's obviously there'll be a little bit of a gap there, but that's fine. It's surreal. I just like, it's funny because it's a Civic. Like it's a cheap 8th gen underneath, and now
You wanted one now?
I was like, man, that thing looks really good. I'm contemplating getting myself one of these.
The tough part is like, cause like all the parts, like the headlights, taillights, and all this fascia and everything is all like
from the Type R, right?
Yeah, from the Type R. So you gotta like source all that stuff out, and they make like, of course, like eBay fake variants, but then you guys would really be dealing with all the fitment.
Well, then you wouldn't have gaps like this.
Exactly.
You would have some issues. We did a Huracan once, and the guy bought the whole entire body kit for $2,500, and he goes, just make it fit. And I mean, we did. And because it's a Lambo, it didn't look that bad. But if you get close to it, I mean, you can nitpick the whole car apart. Like the gaps are off, the things are crooked, they're not lining up. We ended up like gluing some stuff onto the car. The guy's like, yeah, just glue it, I don't care. I was like, all right. Man. He didn't really care about the car.
The guys at SCC finished things off by giving the car a detail to the point where there was not one fingerprint visible anywhere. And once done, I pulled her out to see her in the sunlight for the first time. Now don't get me wrong, this is far from one of the lowest cars I've ever owned, but now I felt incredibly more obligated to angle and be careful of the front lip on entrances, just because everything was basically brand new with not a single hairline scratch on it. I feel like I gotta be careful around this thing. Like I don't want to touch any of it right now. As they say, this is the cleanest it'll ever be. It fits the logo too. The other thing that's crazy for me to notice is that the car's original paint was in such rough shape. Like I know it got repainted in the same color, but you guys don't realize how scratched up all the doors were. And then of course there was tons of sun fade and everything all up here. All of that is gone now. So not only is it surreal to see the conversion all match one color, but it's also surreal to see my Civic in a red that is just dripping as it is now. I was also super appreciative of the level of detail they went through on aligning all the parts back on the car. When I did the first mock-up of the conversion, we were basically tacking things on to get the video done with and out of the way, and I knew that everything would eventually be pulled back off the car. But when these guys put everything back on, they fixed things such as my taillights, aligning them together with no gaps, also getting the hood, fender, and grille fitment to basically look OEM. There are literally
no exterior imperfections on this Honda Civic, and that is super hard to say about most 8th gens. Currently driving the car back home, and everything is great except for the car appears to be breaking up. I'm literally like, my pedal is all the way down, and we're not increasing any RPMs. If I go down in the 4th, I don't know if you can hear it, but it's breaking up, it's jittering. Something is restricting the airflow, and I gotta figure out what's going on. Maybe while they were taking the whole car apart, maybe something got unplugged, maybe one of the sensors up there. Oh, the car I just stalled it. Yeah, something is not right, because the throttle is just being super choppy right now. Oh yeah, you hear that? See, that's what's supposed to happen when I floor it. It's supposed to reach VTEC and continue up, but I was just flooring it in a second there, and it was literally like holding, like as if the car had launch control. Gosh, the hood is so nice now. Oh, they got the whole underside too. Damn. Oh, here's probably the issue. This thing isn't like fully in here. Yeah, this thing's like dangling. How did this get undone? Who the hell? Dude, who's messing with my mass airflow sensor, bruh? Yeah, this has to be the issue.
Yeah, it was probably just loose to begin with, and the screw just probably popped out just out of the vibrations.
Yeah, that's kind of annoying because I don't even know like what screws to go get. I was literally concerned because this grill piece wasn't here prior, because I was like, I'm gonna leave the paint guys to do it anyway, so I'm not gonna install it. So we installed the intake. It had just an opening, and obviously it was working, and I was scared that adding in this piece would block it, like as if it was a fake vent out of like a new Type R, like an FK8. But no, it's legit. It's hollow through, and our filter is like right there behind it, so it should still be able to get in plenty of cool air. But yeah, we just gotta hopefully just securing this down. Obviously, we can't take the intake with us with the, you know, threads and stuff, which I need to figure out what size hardware we need. But I found a different piece that shares the exact same holes. It's just a little large. So I have to bring my OEM intake box. But look, this is the exact same mounting point for the freaking the airflow sensor or whatever. So I'm just gonna bring this in and we'll mount up some screws. The guys at the hardware store were super accommodating to help us find the screws that we needed, and they didn't seem to make any acknowledgement of my giant intake box that I just casually had in there. Those guys are like so accommodating. I once like went in there and I got asked like if I needed anything like 4 times by 4 different people. Oh, that's but I ain't gonna complain about it, because the worst thing is like when I like walk into Home Depot and I can't find a single person.
It's because the store's too big.
Yeah. Oh, bro, I can't lose this screw. Aha. That ain't going nowhere. So now that the airflow sensor is fully plugged in, I get a check engine light. What? That makes 0 sense. The car was literally running like crap prior, and it's like, oh, no issue, and now the car tells me that there's something wrong. I just don't get why I wasn't getting a check engine light prior though. The airflow was terrible. This car is being a little difficult right now. Dude, it's like, you know, the car realized, oh, it's too pretty. It has to. There's
gotta be something wrong with it.
It has to start being toxic to me afterward. It's gaining too much self-confidence. Yeah, we're back in business. It's not breaking up anymore. Still got the check engine, but hopefully, yeah, it'll clear itself, but at least Civic's all good to rip now. You can always count on me for having the most diverse array of cars seated in my garage. I'm still standing here in awe with how this car turned out. The only other 8th gen Civics that I see that are done up to this level are cars that I've seen on my Instagram Explore page, and they're all in Japan. And honestly, I think it's kind of funny that I did the cycle in reverse. I previously owned a Honda S2000, and I feel like most guys in Civics like these would dream of owning an S2K, but coming from that S2000 build to now seeing this build,
build, fully done up. I will have to say that this is by far the more superior Ultramotive build. Obviously, a lot more went into this car, and I think it is a lot more unique with how it turned out than what my S2000 was like. And also just literally appreciating them car for car. The S2000 is way more occasion specific, where you have very limited space and you don't have a roof. Whereas this thing, I could daily drive it right now if I wanted to. I could rip it on the mountain back roads if I wanted to. I could go road trip if I wanted to, or I could even go take it to a car show if I wanted to. I bought this thing just to showcase to you guys that this would be my recommendation for a great first car on a limited budget, and also for me to have a decent fuel efficient daily driver as gas prices have been skyrocketing. But even though I knew this was the end plan all along, it still somehow managed to exceed my expectations. So yes, I don't expect anyone who buys an 8th gen Civic Si as their first car with their limited budget to go as far as to collect all these parts, go get it painted to a degree that's this nice. But what this car is a demonstration of is that if you have a 4-door 8th gen Si of any sort, it is possible to make it look like this. I mean, the base platform will have these capabilities, and if you spend enough time saving up for everything, we have now fully checked off the one missing box that I feel like the Civic Si absolutely failed at, which was its original USDM looks. I was just not a fan, and I just think this looks so much more mean, so much more aggressive, and same with the taillights too. So with that done, I'd say this car does everything. It's cheap to maintain, it's reliable, it's fun to drive, it's practical, and now it has the looks. I guess the one thing you can't do is drift, but that's overrated.